artist can be so freaking hard sometimes. Have you ever put your heart and your soul into a masterpiece only to have somebody else come along and tear it down? Yeah. Sucks, doesn't it? Well, when I was 10 years old, I spent the day working on a masterpiece. You see, I transformed our ugly, bland, boring, yellow Amarillo, Texas backyard into a lush green jungle paradise. My dad had trimmed a tree in the backyard, and there was limbs everywhere. I saw the vision and began to create my canvas. I turned on the water hose and yelled to my siblings, "Come on, let's play Tarzan." We spent that hot summer afternoon flooding the backyard and swinging wildly through the trees, yelling like wild monkeys and doing our Tarzan calls. And most importantly, shy, sensitive Kelli got to be big, bold Tarzan. We were having the time of our lives until my dad came home. Wah, wah, wah. He opened the back door and he said, "What are you doing?" Oh, wow. We're playing Tarzan? He said, "Well, look at this mess you made. Turn off the water and clean this mess up right away." My siblings all scattered to the four winds, of course. And I was left standing there feeling shame. I felt ashamed, and my art had been rejected. Mess? I thought it was magical. A few years later, my passion for my art had just begun to bloom. I discovered a new skill and a new love, drawing. My grandma had given me this great, big, glorious sketchbook. It was almost as big as I was. I loved the smell of the pencils and the touch of the paper. I still do. And I could spend hours upon hours in my room drawing portraits and my nude figures, and time would just disappear. I loved my art so much, and I wanted everybody else to love it too. So I decided, I know, I'm going to take my sketchbook to school. I chose a teacher, presented my sketchbook so proudly to him, and said, "Do you want to look at my sketchbook?" And he said, "Sure, leave it on my desk. I'll take a look at it later." I thought, later? Oh, no. You're going to want to see this now. But I thought, okay, he's busy. I'll leave it on his desk, and marched off to class. As the days wore on, my anticipation grew. I was just imagining how much he would love my art and all the glowing remarks he would have about it. But then every time I passed him in the hall, he would never say anything about it. And I started to get a little concerned. I wonder why he's never brought up my art in my sketchbook. Then more days went on. Now I'm starting to get a little pissed, y'all. I miss my sketchbook. I miss my beloved sketchbook. And I was impatient. So I marched up to him and I said, "I need my sketchbook back, please." He said, "Sure, it's in my office somewhere." Somewhere? Mm-mm. So I went to his office and my sketchbook was nowhere. I launched a full-scale investigation to retrieve my art. After all, this was my life's work. I interrogated anyone and everyone I could come into contact with. "Hey, do you know what happened to my sketchbook? Do you know where it's at?" Finally, one day I saw this other girl in her cubicle. She had one of my portrait drawings hanging up. "What?" I ran over there and I said, "Oh my God, you have one of my drawings. Can't you see the big curly Kelli signature in the bottom right-hand corner? That's mine." And she said, Oh, my daddy found this in the dumpster." Oh, no. That's what I thought. So in the dumpster, how did my artwork end up in the dumpster? Well, come to find out, some young boys at the school had found my sketchbook in this teacher's office. And when I asked them why did you throw my art away? They said, "Because the drawings of naked women in your sketchbook made it bad and sinful. So we threw it away. There it was again. My art had been rejected. Not only had it not been appreciated, it was garbage. And I felt so ashamed. A few years pass on, and I really didn't draw anymore. I never really got over that loss. I would do some oddball projects here and there if somebody asked me to, like a banner for an event, or if my mom needed a design for her screen printing business. And I enjoyed it okay, but I felt a little numb inside because it wasn't my art. And then one day I came home from school and I checked the mail. Oh, inside the mailbox, there was this postcard. I held my dreams in my hands. University of the Arts, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And on it were teenagers who looked just like me making art. Oh my God, this is it. This is it. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I belong. I was so excited. I ran inside and said, Mom, 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 Mom. Look, 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 look. Did you know that there was such a thing as art schools? This is where I belong, Mom. This is where I want to go. Can I go here? And she took one look at that card, not for very long either. And how dare she? And looked at me and said, No, you can't go there. As if I was out of my mind for asking. She said, We can't afford that. That was the end of that. I would spend the next 10 years of my life without my art. And I was miserable because of it. I would try to find some other sense of purpose, something else to do with myself. I would try to fit in or find another way, and I just couldn't. It was always art. But you see, there was one critical mistake that I made, and that I see so many other artists make, and it breaks my heart, and I don't want that to happen to you. I rejected myself. And on that day, when I realized that, I made a decision to art my way through my life. What does that mean? It means accept myself, reject rejection, and trailblaze forward. So I made a choice to give myself the gift of going to art school on my own. All right. But even art school was not the safe haven from rejection that I thought it was going to be. And in fact, some of you know, I can hear it. In fact, it presented me with so many more opportunities to be rejected. Every week, I would face criticism of my work, rejections of my work, rejections from shows whenever I would enter my work. And every day on the way to school, I would pop in that Susan Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway CD, in hopes that it would help me to be able to deal with my fear of rejection. In my final year of art school, I faced my most challenging event of rejection, and that was a particular professor who hated my work. And I mean, she hated it, y'all. And she even threatened my degree. And I had a choice in that moment to make. Am I going to allow somebody else's opinion of my work to determine its value? Or am I going to art my way through this, accept myself, reject rejection, and trailblaze forward? So that's what I chose, because I knew the other way, what it led to. I knew if I rejected myself, where I would end up again. And so I ended up writing a letter to the president of the school, the dean, the chair of my department, and let them know I will not be participating any longer in this professor's toxic criticism, and I will get my degree. Oh, thank you. You see, it's not about avoiding the rejection. We can never do that. It's just not possible. We will always be creating with the risk of rejection. So it's not about avoiding it, but what it is about is choosing your art first. So my question to you is this your moment to choose your art? Is this the moment today that you choose to art your way through your life? If yes, let's do it together.